excellent.
Well, hello and welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast. Today is a special episode. We're talking to an incredible leader, an incredible communicator, designer, podcaster, musician, and now author. Jen Matthews will share about her new book, Every Yes, but more importantly, how this process can inspire you to chase your dreams and to live your life on purpose. So welcome to the Mind Your Business podcast, the podcast for whatever business is on your mind. Let's get started.
Well, that's excellent.
Jen, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today.
Yeah, thanks for letting me be a part of your space for the day.
Well, I'm very excited to have you back. You're the first returning guest. You were part of season 1. We had a conversation called The Business of Being Married. So for those that do not know, this is my wife, my best friend, and the mother of our son.
Yep, that's my favorite accomplishment there. Yeah.
So it's super awesome to have you. So Jen, today, I want to just talk about the journey of this book, of what you have gone through, what this has been like, why you wrote this, what it's all about, what it can do for other people. And our hope today is that those who are listening to our conversation can be inspired for maybe something that they haven't done. Maybe there's a book or a project, a dream inside of someone else, because this podcast is all about the practical applications of walking out our leadership, our purpose, and all of our abilities and our gifts. So Jen, just give us, first of all, tell us about the book. We want to hear about what you've written.
Yeah, the book is called Every Yes, How Radical Obedience Unlocks Your Purpose. And it's really about how practical finding your purpose is, because the big looming question on everybody's mind for all of time is, what's my purpose? Like, I want to know what my purpose is in life. And so often we let that become this big, end goal, this climax moment of, oh, well, now I can start walking then in the steps to get there, to make that happen. But the book is really taking a journey through realizing how sometimes, is through taking the little mundane steps along the way, by valuing every little step before you realize the big epiphany of, oh, this is it. This is why I'm on the planet. If you're just waiting for that one moment, you miss so many steps along the way. But when you can take value in every little step, that realizing showing up as a good friend is adding to my purpose, that showing up as a good employee is adding to my purpose, that all these little steps along the way that we may or may not consider our purpose in life, they really are building to something. And so it's kind of just taking that journey to realize, well, what's already in your hands? What are you already doing? And how does that really kind of play into what what you would call your purpose, that overarching thing is for your life?
That's incredible. And I'm excited about this topic because I do think purpose is at the core. It's a driving force of our life. Most people, one of the most asked questions is, why am I on this planet? What is all of this about? What is my life for? And you and I are pastors. We lead a church together, and we say life on purpose. And I think especially in the workplace, when people go to work, that's the most, least purposeful environment that they spend their time in. But most of us spend more than a third of our life working. And so I'm excited about this book because not only in the spiritual sense of our lives and unlocking that potential and purpose, but also in every area. And I've actually got my copy with me. And I just want to say, now I do realize that you are my wife, but this is a really great book. Not just my wife wrote a book, but it's really insightful. And here's what I love about it that I really want to talk about. And I want to talk about your tone a little bit in this book because it is very, it's inspiring, it's encouraging, but it's also deeply motivating. Like, it's not fluffy.
Yeah, I'm not very fluffy. Honestly, I had to work to be a little more fluffy than I might when I'm so passionate about something like this, finding your purpose and not neglecting the little things along the way, like taking ownership over the things that are in your life. When I get real passionate, there's zero fluff, and it might be I could forget to leave the life-giving things in there. But the truth of the matter is, my heart is to see people live their very actual best, and that is life-giving. But it's also, I mean to be direct. I mean to be, hey, well, let's look at this thing that you're probably ignoring that would get you there. And so it's on purpose. You know, there's a kind of a trend right now with these Labubu characters. Have you heard of those? They're these little, they're me, okay? Because it's like this hard shell, but it's such a soft core that loves everybody. And I'm like, okay, that's me, because I believe, like, it's hard, but I mean it with all of the best intentions and all of the passion and love in the world, because I do see the best in people. But hey, we've got some really hard truths to realize to get there.
Well,
So.
I only say that. I only bring that up because I think it's important. I think it's number one for men who listen to our podcast. Oftentimes you think, well, women target maybe other women, or this is a book for women, but it's not. It's very gritty. It's very challenging. It doesn't make you just feel good. It's not just an emotional talk about, oh, you have a purpose and oh, you can do great things. No, this really gets in the practicality of doing it and how to do it. But it's also like the old saying, they pull you up by your bootstraps. You know, that sort of just really, you got to get in there. You got to work it. You got to do it.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that about the book. One thing I'm excited about as well is you have really put a lot of intent on the practicality and on the application.
Yeah.
And part of our podcast is we always offer applications. So how do I do this? And so I want you to explain just a few of those things from the details throughout the book. There are action steps even in the book as they read, but you've also produced some companions that will go along with the book. So just tell us about the whole package of things and what people can anticipate.
Yeah. All through the book, I ask a lot of kind of deep dive questions, to be honest. But I always feel held up when people put them. This is great for some people, but not for me. If they put like the study guide version at the end of every chapter, I'm like, oh, I can't move forward now. But they're just woven in as you read the message. It's like, okay, well, now think about this before we go to the next little thing. And there are questions that really cause you to kind of dig deep and think the reality of what might I be ignoring in my life? What could I do differently? Things like that throughout the book. But I'm really excited about, like you said, the companion things that go along. There's two things. There's a study guide. Well, it's called the discussion guide. And my goal is there's a lot of really personal, private work that needs to be done through this book. But all of that is just exponential when you do it with people. So it's a free download. I'm not even making you go buy another study guide or something, but I want people to get in discussion about it, to do it in community, whether it's a small group at your church, whether it's a group of friends over snacks, whatever that looks like, but to do it together. When you're growing together, you realize where there's some like-minded people who can help push you, some accountability, some people who might see a different angle than you can see in your own life. And so there's so much benefit to do it in a community. But then the other companion that I've got with the book I'm really excited about is a 365 Days of Purpose companion journal. And is literally 365 days with a thought-provoking question, a scripture to go along, and then room to write out your thoughts. And it's organized into 12 themes. It's not dated, so I'm the one who, if I skip a day, I feel like I've ruined it for the year. There's no dates, but there are 12 themes, so you can be organized or unorganized. But it's just a really way, hey, if I want to just continue this to take it deeper for a whole year, look, you're going to really dig in and discover some things about yourself.
That's awesome. I love the totality of it all, that you've thought about every component. It's not just another book. And I've heard you say this a lot. It's not just a book to read and then put back on the shelf. This is something to work. It's something to grow in and something to live out. And so I want to interject this right here for many of our listeners, because, you know, in our content, we lean a lot on our development of leaders personally, professionally, our professional lives, our work environments. And so somebody may be going, oh, well, I don't do the Bible. I'm not a Christ follower, all of those things. But I do want to talk about that, because I think that there's a connection regardless, even if you're not following Christ. The desire for our purpose. And for you, I want to hear from that. What was kind of the motivation behind this? Because, you know, somebody may not even be entertaining faith or whatever, and that's okay. But I want you to kind of just explain, where did this come from you? Where was this burning desire for you to take all the time, all the energy, and all the investment? Because writing a book, it's hard work. So what was the motivation, and what's that connecting point that you think that was inside of you that may be inside of people who are listening?
Well, that's loaded. But honestly, I've wanted to write for a long time, but realizing finally the topic that's just been burning in my heart for so long, and even how long and how it started, because yes, this is all faith-based, but this passion for people seeing what's really inside of them started way before I could have ever written a book on something of faith, when I just as a makeup artist, because I would see people sitting in front of me and not having a clue how much value they had, and it would just tear me to pieces, because I'm like, how do you not understand that you take up as much space as the person that you think is awesome? Like, you hold as much value. But that's a common thread through people in every walk of life, even the ones who come off confident. There's always this feeling of lack, or this feeling of someone else is better, that comparison trap we can all fall into. And it's such a soapbox of mine, and has been before I even knew what I was doing, for people to be able to see farther into themselves. And so translated on down the road, people think about purpose, and specifically in the church world, they'll think, oh, well, these words are reserved for people who are going to go into ministry. That, oh, well, you're talking about this big calling on your life, it must be working in the church. But the truth is, a doctor's got a calling on his life, a teacher, a mom that stays home with her kids, a banker. Everybody's got a calling and a purpose on their life. And that doesn't look like opening a Bible and teaching people from a pulpit. It looks like walking out your everyday life purpose driven, like to realize that you are here for more than just a mundane job. You might not like your job, but you can find purpose in your job. There's some reason that you are where you are. And so that's where I think the common threads kind of come together.
Well, for you and I, when we seek purpose, every one of us, I believe 100% of people are looking for purpose. For you and I, we found that in our faith. That, following Christ gave us purpose, and that's what overflows into everything we do. Now, in that, for someone who may not be in that train of thought, the reality is, you said in the church world, it's people who are going to lead in the church, or who's going to be pastors, or that sort of thing. But I think in the business world, it's the same thing. Many people don't feel purpose in their job because they show up every day and they go, well, I'm not the boss. I'm not in charge. I can't make these decisions. And so we often have a lot of misery in the marketplace. But the reality is, when you find your purpose and the reason that you're there, why you show up every day, and what you're gifted to do, it's not about what title you have, what position you have. Every person has a purpose. And I love that you give the practical ways to unlock that, to learn to live that, and then to experience life on purpose. Was there a light bulb moment for you in your own experience that you've lived this out? Because this came from the overflow of who you are as a leader. Yeah. And even in the marketplace, you as an entrepreneur, you've owned businesses. You have worked with many of the nation's largest businesses, doing some incredible things, from marketing, from design work. So in all of the things that you've got your hands in, what was the light bulb moment that said, I've got to do this now? Because you said you've wanted to do it for a long time. That was always a desire, but this was the time. So what was the light bulb moment?
It's hard to explain, other than it was God. Like, that's all I can say about it, because I have always wanted to write a book, but I never, ever want to do anything just to say I've done it. So I wanted there to be purpose behind it. Therefore, it needed to be the right message and the right timing. And to be honest, and toot your horn a little bit, God always uses you. Anything significant in my life, I feel like you've been a part of that spark. And so, it was just God timing. And he just kind of revealed to me, because I've been, tossing back and forth, what could this topic be that's going to be meaningful to me to write on? And it was just in a flash. It was like, oh my gosh, you've been passionate about this for a long time. You've got a wealth of resource inside of you. And
so let's dig there, because I think, as I've watched you in this journey, the light bulb moment, I feel like that was a part of your light bulb moment, because I think as you've been searching, I think you started noticing a common thread of your own words, your own leadership, your own communication of this message. And I feel like maybe that was a part of your light bulb moment where you went, wait, this is it. Like, it's in every thread of what I'm saying. And I feel like when you found that was the green light you needed.
Oh, yeah. Because even preparing the book, I would get on the topic and be like, I wrote a message about that. And I'd search my Google Drive and I'd find stuff I'd already written over a decade. whether it was podcasts or other blogs or other, I was like, it was the thing that was just in me. And I had realized that it was so right in front of my face for so long. And I never put two and two together until I guess the perfectly right time. So, yeah.
Well, I think that's good for people listening now too, because it may not be a book.
Yeah.
You're watching or you're listening and you go, well, I'm not an author. I don't have a book, but there may be something. And your mind keeps coming back to it. Your heart, your emotions, you're tugged toward this thought of, what if I could do this? Or what if I had have done this? But it's too late in life. I'm already wrapped up in all the things and I can't do that. But that may be the very calling, very light bulb moment that you need, the green light to chase your purpose, to go, wait a second, this is the common thread. Maybe I need to act on that. And this book, Every Yes, just has the potential to help you learn how to take those next steps and what to do. You talked about, you had written things on this. And so when you hit that green light, what about the writing process? This is where most people give up because this is where the real work begins. Just tell me a little bit about how do you even start? Where do you begin something like this?
For me, and first time, so I don't know if I'm just completely naive to the process, but for me, it was a big brain dump. I just started writing down, this is how I want it to feel. This is what I want people to walk away with. This is what the overall theme of what's on my heart. This is how I want to talk about it. I wrote down everything I could think of. And then I so carefully put it into Chat GPT because I was terrified of this because I was like, do not write anything for me or I will throw it all in the trash and I'll be done. But I was like, help me organize and make sense of my, squirrel brain. And it just gave me an outline. And from there, I was like, well, there is sense in here. It's good. So all I needed was that little bit of organization. And then I just started taking every topic and searching through the writings I'd done, searching my heart. I'd pray about every chapter, whatever. I'd gather everything I could possibly gather on the chapter and then just kind of take one by one. And there's a lot of backspacing and rereading and going, man, that was a squirrel there, and deleting pages worth of writing. And so it's hard work, but with a little organization
of all of that, the backspace, the writing, the sitting, the brain dumps. I hear athletes talk about they will wear a pair of socks and never wash them because they're their lucky socks. And if they wash them, they washed them one time and then they lost. Were there certain routines or rhythms that you had just in writing? How do you get yourself in that headspace? Because again, you're speaking, you're leading, you're podcasting, you're momming, you're doing all the things. So how do you, separate yourself from everything else that's pulling against you to chase your dream?
It was a kind of funny decision because I did a lot of my writing in the summer where our child was home, and I didn't want to detach myself from my family in the process because I thought, I know they've got grace for me to do this, but I don't want to exercise it until it's necessary. And so I sat at the dining room table where Bluey's playing on the TV and our son is running around building forts and all the things. But there was just some common things that would help me get in the zone. I had a friend make me a candle that said, smells like writing fuel. And it was my favorite scent. So I would burn this candle and I would listen to these like lo-fi tracks that had no lyrics to them. And if I put on that lo-fi track, lit that candle, I could get in the zone every time. And I guess it's just, I know scents do a lot to bring you back into a memory or a place. And so I could get myself mentally back in that place. But those were my two things that if I tried to sit down without it and I would hit a block and be like, oh, it'll help. And sure enough, it would help every time. It's so weird, but it works.
That's awesome. So that's kind of your dirty socks. The candle was much better.
Don't let the candle burn out.
So let me ask you about that because, when you think about writing and when people produce anything in the creative zone is those blocks that you have. And so you're writing something. Did you ever feel a writer's block? Did you ever feel like something just wasn't working and you needed to take a step back? What did you do to navigate those moments when you thought this just isn't working?
Yeah, I did hit a few places like that where I just thought this is I think one time I was just put it down and went to another chapter because I still felt like writing, but I was like, forget it. Let me move on for a minute and come back. Let me write down some different stories that are on my mind and come back. One time I had to print out everything I had and go sit in the bathtub and reread it because I would, after I was done with the chapter, I'd put it through ChatGPT and just say, hey, does this make sense? Is any of it stupid? Do I have any rabbit trails? And usually it would come back and be like, you're awesome. Chat's so friendly. But then they'd be like, hey, I would rework this structure or something like that. But one chapter I got back, it said, you need to go read that out loud. I was like, oh, wow.
Oh,
and I was like, you're not even being nice about it. I was like, this must be bad. But it ended up being my favorite at that time, like, because I really did have to print it out, go sit, read it out loud to myself. And it was like, okay, well, just getting out of the normal sitting spot, the normal freaking out, trying to figure it out, disrupted my thought process and went into more relaxing. Hey, if I was going to relax and read this, this is what I would do. And I went there and it helped me work through it. So
was there ever a moment where you thought this is just not going to work? Did you just decided or on the verge of just saying, you know what, I'll do this another time. The book's not for right now. This is too much. Was there ever a moment where that crossed your mind?
No, it's not in my makeup as a human. It was we're going to finish this and we're going to do this. There were times where I hated it, specifically in the formatting process. Like when you're done with the writing and you have to make it good, like all the grammar good and make it all on the right page. Yeah. That's where I wanted to quit. I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. This is why people pay people a lot of money. And so those pieces, but there was still no part of me that was going to quit because this is what we're doing. I said I was going to do it, and I said I was going to do it by this time, and so we're going to do it. And
that's awesome.
I did.
Your incredible drive, your dedication, your commitment, your discipline to what you feel like you were called to do, your purpose. You said yes, and you were going to walk that out. I think for many people, that's a good indication that you're walking in your purpose. I hear a lot of founders who started amazing companies that are incredibly successful now. And people think on the outside it was for the money or for the gain. But most of these founders who started something incredible, they did it because they were passionate about it, because it was their purpose. It just fueled their life. And so they never gave up. You hear the stories where they bankrupt, they were sleeping on like the office floor because they had nowhere to go. It was their life. But it's what drove them. And I think that's a good indicator that you're chasing your purpose. That's your passion. That's what you're gifted at. You talked about that process of the unfun stuff. Was there anything in any of it that just surprised you about the entire process that you just didn't see coming or you didn't anticipate experiencing?
Just probably the frustration in the editing process. It was shocking at how many grammatical errors. And it was shocking how me and Grammarly just don't always agree on what a sentence should look like. And, it is a hard-hitting book in one aspect. So I wanted my personality to come through it also, just for some light. And it would try to correct some sentences that I was like, it's got to be me. I'm just leaving it. And, so I would fight with the computer a good deal. But honestly, it's formatting and all that kind of stuff. That was kind of shocking how hard it was going to be. But I was just intent on getting it all done. And I had already decided I was doing it myself. There wasn't time to backtrack and go get somebody and do some different track. I was like, this is it. This is what we're doing. So I just fought through it and cried and sweated a little bit and made it through. But that was shocking. I thought the writing would be the worst. And then that would just kind of be the finishing touches.
Wow.
No.
So this is something, again, that's been inside of you. It was always a one day, someday. The passion started burning a little more. You started feeling it a little bit more. Then you started seeing the indicators of this is what I'm really passionate about communicating. Then you made a decision. You set a goal. You had a deadline for yourself about what you were going to do. Then you got a rhythm of how you were writing, your process of it all, the dedication, the discipline to stick with it. You made it through the difficulties of the unfun things, all of the stuff as far as the checks. If I were writing it, I would not be surprised at the grammatical errors. I would have anticipated that for myself. But in all of those things, how did you, from start to finish, many people I know freeze at chasing something because they don't have all the answers, because they don't know how to do everything. This is the first book you've written. Mm-hmm. You wrote it, you edited, you designed every element of it. Mm-hmm. You have you're the copyright for it. I mean, you're doing everything. I'm going to get some of those. There's a lot of specifics I'm getting wrong there.
No, it's good.
But the reality is, you figured it out. Yeah. How would you communicate to somebody who goes, "Well, I don't know how to do it. Don't know where to begin. So I'm just not going to." You overcame it somehow. So what would you say to other people not to let those things stop them?
I would say we've got a wealth of information at our fingertips for free. There is nothing that you can want to do and not figure out. It's the want to figure it out, and the willingness to fight through. If I watch one more YouTube video on self-publishing, if I watch one more YouTube video on copyright, if I watch one more, I'm going to freak out. But you've got to want it bad enough to just do it, because the truth is, there are enough people in the world who want to help other people succeed that you can. It's just pushing through the mundane. Let me watch this one too. Let me watch this one too. But they're all out there, and you can do it for free. You don't even have to go, well, I don't have $1 million to invest in a mentor or a subscription to. It's out there. Like, there's literally no excuses other than, are you going to do the work? Are you going to push through to do it? Because it's all out there. People want you to succeed, and the resources are there for you.
That's great. So if you want it bad enough, that it's out there, you could go and do it. And you leaned into a lot of that. I know along the journey, you said Chat GPT, which, AI is so incredible. It's just a personal assistant that we all have. So we're, maybe 10 years ago, even a few years ago, you would have had to have sought out someone to help in all of this process. But, you had a personal assistant helping you along the way. What I love when I read the book, and I'll say this, is that I hear your voice. Mm. I think one of the concerns that we have today, moving into this artificial intelligence age, is it's just producing so much content for people that's not authentic and it's not genuine. Yeah. And I can hear your voice, I can hear your words in this, and I know that AI was a tool. So I would encourage people, hey, look, use it as the tool, but be authentic and use your voice.
Yeah.
Tell me, what was the most fun of this project for you? Was it the writing? Was it the, the design work, which you're an incredible designer? What's been the most fun for you?
Honestly, the most fun has just been the nostalgic parts where you're pulling personal stories to show, hey, this is what I mean by this. Hey, I've actually walked this. I'm not just trying to tell you to go do something. This is how I learned this lesson. So to think back, I mean, I would just sit there at the computer either laughing or crying or, because I'm thinking back to the stories and, just getting to remember the way things happened. And, for me, personally, just it was a flash remembrance of just how far God's taken me. Like, I could see all the lessons learned and was like, I knew I went into this knowing where we were going, but on paper to see what God's done in my life was like insane. So, but whether you're writing from that aspect or from just pulling those memories was probably the most fun, and being like, oh my gosh, these lessons I didn't know why I was learning in life, here I am about to use them to teach somebody else a lesson and help coach and train through something for them. It was really, that was probably the most fun.
That's incredible. And that's in every person. Every one of us have something like that inside of us. Things that have been stored, lessons that have been learned, experiences that are not just for us to have experienced, but it's to bring it out and to give it away to somebody else, which is incredible. So who's the book for? Who should be buying this? Who should be reading this? Is it for just a certain segment of people that you were really thinking about when you wrote this book, or who should go out and pick this up?
To be quite honest, I can't think of anybody that shouldn't. It is for everybody. I think when I think of even different age groups, I'm like, man, get this in the hand of a 12-year-old so they can start out strong. Get this in the hands of your grandparents who think they are too old to start something new. You're never too old to walk in your purpose. It's for men, it's for women, it's for young. Like it's literally for everybody. I don't think anybody could not benefit from it. And I was a little nervous for a minute, but I'm still me. Like, how much of my voice is more specific than I think? But even my dad and one of our mentors that is closer to my dad's age was getting stuff out of it. And they're not ones to give me fluff. I love the people around me that aren't going to fluff me up. I like real good feedback that's going to be sometimes harsh. And so when it's good, it's good. Anyways, they were getting stuff out of it. And that made me feel, I was like, okay, so this voice can transcend even the ages. And so I really think it's for everybody.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So and I agree with you as well. And I would say this, for every person, if you are a Christ follower, you are going to absorb so much because the principles are so deeply rooted through Scripture. But I would say to those who maybe aren't Christ followers and you say, well, I'm not looking for a Bible study. Well, for the reality for many of us, especially in the marketplace who lead, the principles that we teach, even if they're not presented in a biblical way, they're founded. You're going to find those leadership principles based in Scripture somewhere. So even if you're not looking for a quote-unquote Bible study, this book is still applicable to you because there are so many principles that are rooted in this content, from personal stories of your own leadership, lessons that you've learned. And it's not just a book about your life. It's all of these things coming together to push everyone forward. So I do agree. I think it is for everybody. In the process of writing, and you said the things that you've learned and what you've gone through personally in doing this, you mentioned something that I think every single person struggles with. That's either starting something or even have accomplished something. And it's that imposter syndrome where you think, well, who am I to do this? And I think that most of us would be surprised that they feel this way because they've accomplished so much. Everyone struggles with this somehow. So how did you prevent that from being a barrier for you, to stop you from expressing your voice, from sharing, from encouraging, from telling, from leading? So somebody else is going, well, just what you said, who am I to do this? How did you overcome that?
To be honest, I had to use my own words against me. I had spoken to so many women over so many years about not letting imposter syndrome hold them back. And then there I was thinking I had conquered this demon, and I start something new that 1 million other people have probably done better. And I'm thinking, who am I to write a book? Who cares what I have to say? And for the first time in a long time, I was having to relearn that lesson. And I thought, for one, I feel like I've learned this lesson before. For two, I speak this lesson all the time. So how could I not follow my own advice? And it was hard. And I'm not going to lie, there's going to be more instances where it wants to gut punch me. But I had to cry and go, you know what? I feel like this is what I'm called to do. This is part of my purpose, is writing this book. So we're just going to do it. And if one person cares, I've done my part. And I just had to get through it and be like, you know what? It'll be what it'll be on the other side. But I'm going to do what I'm called to do, because if no other reason, I've told 1 million other people to do that. So I had to follow my own teaching, to be honest.
Well, I'm so proud of you. I've been in awe of watching the process, the authenticity, just the heart behind it, your purpose and your drive, and you doing things that not only benefit who you are, but you're giving your life away for the good of others. You are living life on purpose. You have said yes to all the amazing things that have been a gift and a purpose in you. And so I'm so grateful to be able to have a front row seat and experience that. But with that being said, what's next? What do you have on the horizon? Is there a follow-up to this book? Are you thinking about starting another one soon? Tell us just a little about what you feel like is on the horizon for you.
I do feel like now that the door's open, it won't be the last book, but I have zero anticipation of starting this process again soon. My hope is to be able to just encourage communities to get into it, to be able to hopefully speak the message to groups around town or wherever, to just kind of get this message out there for now, and then we'll just see what comes next. I know there'll be another one in the future, but
So the book
tomorrow.
Is coming. It's pre-order right now. Tell us about how to get it, when it's going to be released, all of those great details.
Yeah, so pre-orders open on Amazon right now, and just go search Every Yes, Jen Matthews, or you can go straight to my website, jenmatthews.tv, and it's got it linked. But at my websites where you're also going to be able to get a few little freebies. You'll get early access to chapter 1, a couple other little things you can get a hold of if you pre-order. And that's also where you'll be able to download the discussion guide that's free, to where you can do this with your friends or a small group or something. And my name, I always forget to specify, it's 1 N 2 T. So it's JENMATTHEWS.TV. And that'll get you to everything. It comes out October 14th. So pre-orders open till then. Then October 14th, it can be in your hands.
That's incredible. Pre-order now. Yeah. October 14th, the book is released wherever you get your books. JenMatthews.tv is a great place to do that. One other thing that I want to mention that has been happening since just the announcement of the book and the pre-release, your calendar is filling up with people reaching out because this message just resonates so much. Yeah. And because the book is such a practical tool to put in people's hands, there's an incredible opportunity to really take this and use it for practical application and helping people. So people have been reaching out to you for seminars and for keynote talks on this topic, so that you can get the message, they can hear it, they can meet you, and then they can take the book and they can go begin to exercise it. So if someone were going to say, I need this, I want this for my office, I want this for a women's group, I want this for my church, or whatever it may be, how could they reach out to you? Is that something that you want to open the doors up? I know that you've offered this for people to reach out. So tell people how to do that as well.
Yeah, that's on the website as well. There's a link to request as a speaker, or if you want to do a podcast together, there's just a link on JenMatthews.tv for both of those. And I would love to. This is my heart. So I love being able to share that with your group and your people.
That's incredible. Well, Jen, before we wrap up, someone's watching, someone's listening. They've heard this whole story, and they're still saying, well, maybe one day I could do that. Mm-hmm. What would you say to someone listening right now, someone watching you right now that still has that hesitation? What's the last bit of encouragement that you would give to them?
Man, I would be like, you change your perspective today, right now. What's one thing today that you could do that feeds into that thing that you already know is in your heart? It could be something as simple as reaching out to a friend. It could be something as simple as watching a YouTube video to teach you a little something about what you're trying to do. There's something you can do today, but you've got to change your perspective from I can't do it today to I got to do the building blocks right now. Because there's something simple and free, probably, that you can do right now today to just take the next right step. It's always about the next right step in that direction.
That's incredible. Well, Jen, thank you for being a part of the podcast today. Everybody, get your book. You need to pick it up. You need to read it. You need to live it out. It's incredible. Jen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of today's episode. I hope this encouraged you and inspired you to say yes to whatever you need to do in order to live your life on purpose. And I would actually love to hear about your purpose and what you're chasing or living out in your life. So YouTube, let's talk about it in the comments. And of course, if you found this helpful, would you like, subscribe, share this with a friend, leave a review, and until next time, go mind your business and simply say yes.